Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. In today's video, we are going to discuss an important experimental method used in coordination chemistry and pharmaceutical analysis, which is the pH titration method for the study of complexes. If you are working with metal ligand systems and want to determine the donor-acceptor ratio and the stability constant, this method becomes extremely useful, especially when complex formation is accompanied by a measurable change in pH. So in this session, we will understand the principle behind the method, the experimental procedure, and finally, how to calculate the donor-acceptor ratio and the overall stability constant from the titration data. If the complex formation is accompanied by a change in pH, we can determine the donor-acceptor ratio and the stability constant by pH titration. For example, the chelation of cupric ions by glycine molecules and the chelation of calcium ions by ethylene diamine tetraacetic acid. In both these complexation processes, pH changes as the reaction proceeds. Let's understand the basic principle of this experiment. For the chelation of cupric ions by glycine molecules, the reaction can be represented as you can see. Here, two protons are released in the formation of the copper glycinate complex. This complexation should result in a decrease in pH, and this allows us to study complexation behavior with the help of a pH meter. What we need to do is a known quantity of glycine solution should be titrated by adding strong alkali-like sodium hydroxide solution. The changes in pH with increments of sodium hydroxide solution should be recorded on the graph. Similarly, a complex solution containing glycine and copper salt should also be titrated, and the graph is plotted. The curve for the metal glycine complex mixture will be well below that of the glycine curve, which clearly indicates that complexation is obtained throughout the titration range. Here, the question may arise, why is there a need to titrate solutions with sodium hydroxide? Actually, titration with sodium hydroxide is essential because it permits the estimation of the concentration of ligand bound to the metal ion. The horizontal distance between the two curves gives the amount of alkali consumed in the reaction. This quantity of alkali is exactly equal to the concentration of ligand, which is glycine, bound at that pH. From this graph, we can quantitatively estimate the donor-acceptor ratio, which is symbolized by N bar. It is the average number of ligand groups bound per metal ion. It is calculated by the formula N bar equals the concentration of ligand bound over the total concentration of metal ion. We can also calculate the overall stability constant beta. The stability constant reflects the strength of the interaction, and the larger the value of the constant, the greater the stability of the complex. For the calculation of the stability constant, first, we will need to calculate the concentration of ligand-bound Pa from the titration curves according to this equation. Pa value can be estimated using the equation Pa is equal to pKa minus pH minus log of initial concentration of Ha minus concentration of sodium hydroxide. Here, Pa is related to the concentration of ligand bound, pKa is related to the dissociation constant of ligand glycine, pH value where N is equal to 1, and Ha initial is the concentration of glycine at the initial stage. Here, concentration of sodium hydroxide is the horizontal distance, expressed in terms of moles per liter at that pH. Now, let's move to the experimental part. For the experiment, we will require a glycine solution of a concentration of 3.34 into 10 to the power of -2 mole per liter. You can see the procedure and how it can be prepared. Accurately weigh 250 milligrams of glycine and transfer it into a 100 milliliter volumetric flask. Then add distilled water to make up the volume to the mark. We will require the complex solution of glycine and cupric chloride. For that, accurately weigh 250 milligrams of glycine and 160 milligrams of cupric chloride and transfer them into a 100 milliliter volumetric flask. Then add distilled water to make up the volume to the mark. The next chemical we will need is a 0.25 normal sodium hydroxide solution. To prepare it, we must transfer 1 gram of sodium hydroxide in a 100 milliliter volumetric flask, and the volume has to be made up with distilled water. Here is the setup for the experiment. The pH meter is already calibrated as per the standard procedure. You can follow the instruction manual of this instrument to know how it can be calibrated. The pH electrode is to be fitted in the beaker. Here, I will use a magnetic stirrer in pH titration because we have to record the pH of the solution after adding different amounts of sodium hydroxide to obtain the titration curve. When we add something from the burette to our solution, it has to be mixed properly. Continuous rotation of these magnetic beads helps us to mix the solution properly, and the mixture can attain equilibrium very easily. We must take 75 milliliters of glycine solution into the beaker. Now I will put the magnetic bead into the solution and I will start the stirrer and I will measure its pH. The pH of the glycine solution is continuously increasing. We must note the pH reading once we get a stable reading on the pH meter. In the burette, I have taken 0.25 normal sodium hydroxide solution. We must arrange a burette in such a way that we can add sodium hydroxide to a glycine solution. Now I am going to add 1 milliliter of sodium hydroxide to glycine and then I am going to observe the pH. I will continuously add sodium hydroxide solution with a 1 milliliter increment every time, and I will note the pH reading on the pH meter. We must take at least 10 readings to get the titration curve and note the observations for the calculation part. Here, I have completed 10 readings of the glycine solution. Now we must replace the glycine solution with the complex solution. Before placing the complex solution, I must wash the pH electrode with distilled water and wipe it with tissue paper to clean it properly. Now it's time to take a complex solution into the beaker. The pH readings have to be taken in the same way as we have done for the glycine solution to get a titration curve of the copper glycine complex. Here you can see all the values of titration for both solutions are recorded in the observation table. From this reading, we can plot a titration curve. The titration curve is a plot of pH versus volume of 0.25 normal sodium hydroxide added. From this graph, first we will calculate the donor-acceptor ratio using the equation. Already we have the total concentration of metal ions taken initially. It is about 9.45 into 10 to the power of minus 3 mole per liter. We just need to find out the concentration of ligand bound from the graph, which is nothing but the horizontal distance at a certain pH. Here at pH 4, the horizontal distance is 2.62 milliliters of sodium hydroxide. So the concentration is 2.62 milliliters multiplied by 2.59 into 10 to the power of minus 4 moles per liter. This is present in 75 milliliters. If we calculate for 1 liter, it will be 9.05 into 10 to the power of minus 3 mole per liter. Now substitute the values in the equation and we will have the answer of 0.96. It means that the ratio of ligand to metal is 1:1.
Now, let's move ahead with the calculation of the overall stability constant. Here we have some values with us. The pKa of glycine is 9.69. HA initial, or the concentration of glycine at the initial stage we took, is 33.4 into 10 to the power minus 3 mole per liter. The concentration of sodium hydroxide utilized, as we have calculated, at pH 4 is 9.05 into 10 to the power minus 3 mole per liter. Now, substituting all these values in the equation, we have the value of Pa is equal to 7.303. The overall stability constant log beta is calculated from the Pa value, which is 14.60, where N is equal to 1. So, to summarize, using the pH titration method, we were able to determine two important parameters of a metal ligand system. One is the donor-acceptor ratio, which tells us how many ligand molecules are bound per metal ion. And second, the overall stability constant, which indicates how stable the complex is. This method is simple, reliable, and very useful in coordination chemistry, pharmaceutical analysis, and research involving metal complexes. If you found this explanation helpful, make sure to share it with your classmates and colleagues. Thank you for watching.